Hello and welcome to the 5 minutes to pass your exam for Advanced Financial Management. The expectation at this stage is synthesis and evaluation. These requirements are the way you need to communicate and apply your knowledge in the exam. There are a list of verbs that you need to ensure you apply the appropriate response to in your exam question. When presented with an exam question, you should have an easy process on how to convert this into an answer that will get at least 50% of the marks. My suggestion would be 1. Read the question carefully. Take your time in thinking about an approach and solution. If you start writing too quickly, you will miss key points and marks. And remember, answer the question asked. 2. Assume knowledge is important. From the financial management course and other related modules. Look on AFM as a continuation of financial management and not a new subject. 3. Make sure you are applying a solution to the scenario. A good way of doing this is making sure that each recommendation or suggestion you make can be tied into an issue identified or highlighted in the case study. If not, it is not relevant to the solution. And 4. Make sure you appreciate all the requirements in each question, as there may be multiple to address, especially the discursive questions that are often not taken as seriously and students miss out on a lot of marks. It is important to know what you are facing when going into your exam. AFM is a 3-hour 15-minute exam with all compulsory questions. Planning is vital, so allocate the first 15 minutes to this without starting to write an exam answer. Section A of the exam accounts for 50 marks. At least 2 syllabus areas are tested in this question. Section B of the exam has 2 questions, usually 25 marks each. From a time management perspective, I would recommend splitting the requirements into smaller sections for planning, rather than thinking you have 90 minutes to complete question 1. Time will get away from you fast if this approach is used. There are some key areas of focus, but in no way should you limit your study to these areas or use any question spotting technique to predict the paper. The main areas are company valuation in relation to mergers and acquisitions, capital structures, the financing of them, and dividend policy decisions. Investment project appraisal is always key to this exam, but the level of complexity depends on the scenario provided. Risk management, especially hedging decisions. Assume knowledge is vital, and a lot of techniques mentioned are built on from the financial management paper. So what does a good answer look like in AFM, and how can you maximize marks? Firstly, let's look at a simple scenario whereby you've been asked to calculate and analyze the operating profit margin ratio using the data provided in the question. You should first note that you've been asked 2 requirements, calculate and analyze, so we can assume 1 mark is available for each with 2 marks awarded for the whole answer. How do you get the full 2 marks? You need to start by showing your calculations. Commenting that the margin has increased or decreased over time will not get you any marks. You should be computing the rate of change over the period provided, noting any accelerations or slowdowns. Finally, link your analysis to the scenario. From the details provided, what could have caused this change? Applying this logic to all your answers in AFM will go a long way to increasing your marks. Now we look at some simple rules for laying out your solutions in the exam. Firstly, you must be organised and have a systematic approach to answering the question. You should have built this skill set up during your question practice leading to the exam. Structure is very important. Matching this with an answer that is neat, tidy and non-crowded makes it easier for the examiner to identify the areas that deserve marks. In all your exam, the importance of time management is stressed, but AFM is a topic that traditionally students have struggled for time. Knowing that now and putting processes in place during your practice should avoid this. There are some regular pitfalls in the AFM exams that students consistently struggle with. Take note of these and don't make the same mistakes. Intensive study programs don't work well for AFM. A steady study program over time is much more beneficial, similar to our 21-day bootcamp. A common mistake is that students consistently try to predict topics that will come up. This never works and should be avoided at all costs. It is important to read the question and spend your time planning at the beginning to ensure that you have understood the context of the question. Otherwise, you will fail to apply the correct knowledge. Again, a reminder that financial management knowledge is really important, but without structure and planning, it may be wasted and your answers poorly communicated. So there's the AFM exam in 5 minutes. Apply this advice throughout your study and use for each question during exam bootcamp, and you'll give yourself the great chance of passing. Only 35% of students currently pass this exam. Be one of those who contribute to this trend increasing. Best of luck.